Hey everybody, movie reviewer next door here, and I'm back with another review. This time I saw The Crow City of Angels. This is a 1996 action horror film directed by Tim Pope, and it stars Vincent Perez, Mia Kirshner, Richard Brooks, Iggy Pop, Thomas Jane, Thuy Trang, and Vincent Castellanos. In this film, a murder victim is brought back to life by a mysterious crow. With the help of a beautiful woman named Sarah, he exacts revenge on his killers, only to realize his enemy has discovered the one weakness that can destroy him forever. So, what did I think of The Crow City of Angels? Well, this is kind of this is a bit of a well-known, this is known to be like pretty catastrophic sequel for a lot of people, as are the others. A lot of people straight up just hate the other sequels. Um, this film is um I was so close to being like it's not that bad. I still wouldn't say it's horrible, but it definitely pales in comparison to the first. Um, Especially story-wise, but let me get to the cast. Um, Vincent Perez plays Ash Corvin, who's our new Crow. Um, he's decent enough. There are times where he's a bit wonky in his acting. Some of the lines don't make a lot of sense. There's that one bit with him and Thuy Trang. I don't blame this on him. I blame it more on the writing by David S. Goyer. Yes, that David S. Goyer wrote this. Um, do you know how to fight? Do you know how to die? Like stuff like that that's possibly supposed to be badass, but it just isn't. But he's trying, but he's very obviously a better actor in his native language, which is French, uh, or Spanish. My bad, Spanish. Only other American movie I know of that he's in is Queen of the Damned, which I've never seen, but I mean, but he's decent enough here. Mia Kirshner plays Sarah. I'm not a fan. Like, it's not like Mia Kirshner's acting is terrible, because it's not. She doesn't do a bad job playing this character. I just don't believe this character is Sarah, as the character doesn't act anything like Sarah did in the first film. She was the little girl that um uh the Eric Draven and his girlfriend were taking care of, uh or fiance. My bad. My alarm went off and I had to edit that out. But Sarah was the girl that Eric and his fiance were taking care of. Um and in that first film, she was kind of like a little bit spunky, kind of like a bit more mature than you'd think. And even though the cop uh character was kind of taking care of her, she still like was a bit more independent than you'd expect for a girl her age. In this film, there's no sign of her mother at all. They never even mention her mother, who she reconciled with in the first film, which was a pretty big moment. And in here, she's just a depressed, like, super gloomy, super please understand me character. And it just didn't feel like Sarah. It felt like they wanted Mia Kirshner because she was hot, and I mean, again, her acting isn't bad, but it just doesn't feel like the same character. Richard Brooks plays Judah Earl, who's our main villain of the film. He's decent enough, but he is very, very, very over the top at many points of the film. To a detriment, especially near the end of the film, because he just becomes pretty laughable. Um, Iggy Pop plays Curve. He's one of the main henchmen. He's one of the only memorable ones. He's crazy. Iggy Pop plays Iggy Pop. Um, Thomas Jane plays Nemo. He's one of the henchmen. The most that you learn about this guy is that he's a pervert and he likes recording murder. Like he has like a camera where he's like videoing murder all the time. Thui Trang plays Kali or Callie. She's decent enough again. I like Thui Trang. It sucks that she had to die as young as she did. Um, she died in 2001, which sucks. Uh, Again, this is one of the better henchmen. Um, like more interesting character, but yeah. And Vincent Castellanos plays Spider Monkey. You don't learn much about Spider Monkey at all, but it's whatever. Here's the thing. Um, what do I say about this? First off, the acting again is not that bad for the most part. It's the acting is not the issue. I think one of the main issues is that this film tries to stick too close to the first in many respects with its tone, but it doesn't exactly know how to replicate it because the first film had more of a gothic, like kind of macabre tone, and this film feels more like it's trying to be edgy, kind of like a lot of thrillers in the 90s where they were like, ooh, there's sex, there's violence, ooh, ultra violence, and there's a well-known main character or main actor. So it's like, oh, it's crazy that we're doing this, but it's mostly just like, oh, is this a cry for attention? And with a lot of the scenes in this, it just doesn't feel like the first Crow at all. Like, if you're trying to replicate it and put a bit of a spin on it, that's fine. But this film doesn't even replicate the atmosphere, like, at all. It's mostly the most that you get is a dark city. That's about it. And what instead of the like clubs from the first film, you have like this specifically like S&M club that's like, oh look, there's people having sex in the hallways, there's people having sex in the club, there's naked women writhing in sheets like they're in pain, and it's just like, oh my god, this wants so hard to be taken seriously. The film wants so hard to be taken seriously, but all it feels like is a music video. It feels like a metal music video, and that kind of makes sense given that the director Tim Pope directed mostly like live performances. Uh Apparently he also had to do with um Video Aid, the concert that, well, I mean, not the one, but with David Bowie, he worked with Iggy Pop, which is possibly how Iggy Pop is in this, The Cure, uh Soft Cell, Rush. Like and that makes sense because a lot of the editing in this film and a lot of the look of it just reminds me of music videos. And that can work, I think Russell Mulcahy as a like music video director first, then film director second. He added a lot of style to films. He had very beautifully shot films. Razorback had some gorgeous scenery in it. Highlander was gorgeously shot. He knew how to make it work. Directors like this, it feels like they're trying to make an overextended music video rather than a coherent movie. Now, the plot I would say is coherent, but it's also very meh, very bland. If you saw the first film, that's about what you're getting here story-wise is, oh, person couldn't save themselves and a loved one. They come back from the dead and they're sent on a quest of vengeance against the people who killed him. So that's about what you're getting. Not getting any more or less. Um, and okay, I can definitely give credit to this film for quite a few things before I get into other negatives. The film, again, the lead performance of Vincent Perez is not offensive. He's not terrible. Even though he does struggle with a lot of his English dialogue, as again, he is a predominantly Spanish actor. Uh, the locations and production design, excuse me, the locations and production design I can still give massive credit to, as always. It's a good looking film for the most part, even though it does feel like a overextended like Marilyn Manson type music video. Still, I like it how it looks for the most part. Um, the action and the revenge scenes work well enough. There's a really nice and impressive explosion stunt where I think it was Spider Monkey is in the drug factory and Vincent Perez like does like a thing or the Crow does a thing where he ends up showing a card to him or something. Excuse me. And it was like bad luck or something, and then he like throws a match and the entire place just fucking explodes. That was a really cool bit. I liked it. It didn't make much sense with the crow like flying past these trees and them just randomly exploding, but I was still like, okay, I'm into this to an extent. But then it kind of went downhill from there. Like, not bad, but it was mostly just kind of forgettable. There were still a couple cool moments. There's again, I'm gonna talk spoilers. Uh, there's a bit where Iggy Pop is like riding his bike towards the crow. I'm just gonna call him the crow because he's the crow of, excuse me, of this movie. But he starts riding his bike towards him, and then he like has a shotgun. He shoots at the bike, and then it explodes, leaving him flying. That was cool, except the very next little bit, you see this really bad looking green screen effect or CGI. Like, I don't know if it's CGI fire, but he walks through the fire and it's very obviously like hand, like rotoscoped for him to like walk through it, and it just looks really unnatural. Again, like some of the effects in the first film. Um, There's the bit with Thuy Trang where he throws her out a window, or after they have a pretty decent fight, and she like hits her head on a car and just starts bleeding out, and the blood like turns into like the crow symbol, which I was like, okay, that's fine. But like, yeah, the revenge portions aren't that bad. The film moves at a fast enough pace. I watched the director's cut, which is what's available on this like triple DVD. Um, and I mean, one of the scenes I know for a fact was a director's cut edition where for some reason Sarah starts shooting at the crow even though she knows that if somebody hurts the crow, it will hurt the guy that the crow is like infected or whatever. It's just a scene that makes no sense. I don't understand why it's there. But again, the freaking again, this film feels like it's trying to be too much of a remake of the first while also wanting to be something else, but it doesn't really do anything original. It again just feels like a poor man's remake of the first. And again, like I said, Sarah does not feel like the same character. It feels like they just had Mia Kirshner play some like emo chick. Even though she doesn't look emo, she's more goth, I guess. She's just constantly depressed and sad about where she lives, and it like she's just kind of a whatever character in this, and she's always crying. Like I swear to God, every scene of this film, she's got like a tear in her eye, and I'm like, why is she crying? What happened? Did I miss something? And the ending, oh my God, the ending. I do again. Spoiler alert. Like in the first film, the crow gets damaged and the crow has to, well, what's a specific fucking name? Ash Corvin has to basically um fight the villain without the crow powers, which won't make sense in a second. And even though it's never been brought up, even though it's never been established that this can happen, Judah drinks the crow's blood and somehow gets the crow's powers and is fighting Ash, and Ash is basically getting the shit beaten out of him. Sarah uses one of the misericords, stabs Judah in the head. He comes at her. She's running at him for some reason, saying his name, gets stabbed, bleeding out on the ground. Ash gets up, impales him on this like pipe, and then he summons the crows in this really shitty effect, like really bad CGI. Not even outdated. It just none of it looks like crows. It just looks like arrows basically fly through him, even though we've just seen that he lost the crow powers because the fucking crow is dead and has been impaled, which we've been told that's how you lose your powers. And Judah just disappears, and then that's basically the end of the movie. Is Sarah's dead now? Which great, great, Sarah's dead. Even again, it's not the same character, but or it doesn't feel like it. But yeah, it's just kind of a shit ending, and it did like make me feel a lot less for this movie because I was gonna say like it's decent enough, and I was like, oh no. I can see why people don't like this ending because it comes out of fucking nowhere. And yeah, it is really annoying. But yeah, it like do I think this is a shitty movie? Not really, but it is very substandard. It's very subpar and it is just not that impressive for the most part. But yeah, that was my review of The Crow City of Angels. If you've seen the film, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. If you have any recommendations, put them down there as well. And movie reviewer next door out.